Well, hello and happy Wednesday, Canadian soccer fans. It is Hump Day. The Hangouts are back, joined by my dear friend, Mr. Oliver Platt, and two special guests today from the east coast of this beautiful country, two internationals who are now making Halifax home. A big welcome to Peter Schaale and Cory Bent from Cape Breton University through to the Halifax Wanderers. Lots of good things happening on the East Coast when soccer is finally able to return. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Great to see you. Cory, it's great to finally meet you. And great to have you on. How are things going, Cory? Settling into your new apartment?
Yeah, things are good right now. Just trying to stay motivated, keep my mind occupied. But, I'm surrounded by good people, socially distancing, but we're getting on with it. So hopefully, we'll be back doing what we love sooner rather than later.
Is one of those good people the roommate that's also on this show and probably just like 10 feet away from you?
Yeah, it might be.
We were going to have you guys go on the same camera, but we're trying to respect social distancing,
That makes sense.
Peter, how are things back from Germany and everything?
I think it's good so far. So my family is all right. Obviously, the Bundesliga is starting again this weekend, behind closed doors. So that's good. And I think bars and stuff are reopening and restaurants since Monday with like rules, obviously, but I think they're back open. So let's hope the numbers don't go up so they can keep open and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to Dortmund Schalke on Saturday morning.
Oh, yeah. Starting with the derby as well.
It's been a long time, yeah.
Ollie, have you picked your team yet?
I don't really have a German team, so no. I'll take recommendations if Peter has any.
That was going to be my first question for Peter today. Who should we cheer for? Because we obviously have Alphonso Davies, so everyone's going to be watching Bayern. But I want an underdog pick from you, Peter.
Well, my team is Frankfurt.
Okay.
I'm not even sure who they're playing this weekend, though. I haven't even checked it. I know that the derby is going on, but I think they're playing. One sec. I think they're playing Hoffenheim or someone.
Okay.
It's exciting times.
Anyway.
So that's, I'm guessing, how you guys are spending your time then, is counting down the days, training where you can, and getting excited for the return of pro soccer?
Pretty much, yeah. Just trying to stay healthy, stay fit, and waiting for something to happen.
Have you guys ever had a moment yet in training or at it being roommates now at Halifax, now that you're pros, where you've actually, let me try that question again. You've lived together for quite a while, going back to Cape Breton. Have you ever had a bad game where you thought, Cory's like, Peter should have passed me, then you just didn't talk to each other for a few days when you got home? Like, how does that dynamic work, living together?
I think pretty much, once we leave the changing room, we're back to how we were before we got onto the pitch. It's not easy to keep it that way, but we do our best. We don't really need the friction in the apartment as well as sometimes on the pitch, which is always going to happen. So yeah, I think we do our best to try and leave it in the changing room before we get back to the apartment.
It's a good way to live, man. Peter, for you, that you're coming back to Halifax, so you left midway through the campaign to go back and finish at Cape Breton, but you're back now. Going into preseason, seeing the team once again, what were some of the changes you noticed, and did you like the additions?
Well, there's a lot of changes. I mean, we only kept 7 players, so it's a whole new team. But I really enjoyed the first 2 weeks. So it was amazing. The standard was very high, and the new additions are really good. I think the team came together really good. So I think the coach didn't pick just like good players, but also great characters. So the team bonding was really, really going well. And I think most of the players impressed me as well. Cory was very good. I'm really impressed with Joao, and pretty much all of them, I have to be honest. I think Louis is a great addition. He's a well-established midfielder in the league. And, the good thing is that we're going to have competition on every position this year, and I think that's important for a team.
Yeah, pretty much everyone I've asked around Halifax keeps giving me the name Morelli, as you just mentioned there, Peter. What can you tell us a bit about him and why he stood out to you?
Well, first of all, I think he has an interesting career because he's been in England, he's been in Estonia after, now he's here. I think he's from Brazil, obviously, so he's been to different places, and I think that adds a lot to his experience. Yeah. I think he's the same age as me, he's 23 as well. And he's just that very creative number 10. He can play off one touch. He's very good in tight spaces, and I had to defend him already, so I can really tell you he's really good. And I think he can be an outstanding player in this league for sure.
Cory, let's go back to the past few months you've had and bring you in a little bit. take me back to November. You guys are playing in that final weekend of USports on the Sunday, and then the CPL draft is on Monday. How much do you know about the draft and what's going to happen in the draft going into that final match?
I think it's tough. I don't think my mind was so much on it just then, just because it's my last game for Cape Breton. It was kind of emotional for me. It was nice to go out on a high. After that, celebrated with teammates, coaches, and then we travelled. And I only really got to think primarily about it on the Monday. We got back, I believe, like Monday morning at like 4 a.m. in Halifax, and we had to drive up to Cape Breton. It's like a 4 or 5 hour drive. And then, it was later on in the night. So, we were talking about it during the day. And then we got together as a team, everyone that was still there, and we watched it. But yeah, it's before the weekend of nationals, and then just after it is the only time you really get to think about it. Mm-hmm. In competition, it's hard. It's hard to take your eye off the game or concentrate on two things at once. So, we talked about it throughout the season and into bits, but for the most part, it was literally on the day was the time I got to like learn everything about it. And even then, the prior year when I didn't get drafted, I got a lot of knowledge about it because a lot of our team did get drafted. So I was fairly aware of the processes.
Did you have an idea that you had a good chance of being selected and even number one?
Not number one, no, I wasn't sure about that. But I was hoping after having a good summer in Calgary and then having another good year at Cape Breton that I might be having a look in.
Mm-hmm. Peter, did the team ask you for a scouting report?
Not exactly though. Like I've talked to Stephen about Cory before when I was still there, but then during the season at Cape Breton, I've barely talked to Stephen or anyone from the club about Cory. But I knew they were aware of him. I personally was surprised that he wasn't selected the year I was selected, because I thought he had the qualities even then to play in this league for sure. Mm-hmm. So I think it was about time, and I think it's a great pick.
Peter, you obviously know Cory better than anyone watching this show, or Ali and myself. So Halifax fans watching are probably wondering what they are getting from Cory Bent. So what would you like to tell them about Cory, what they should expect from him?
Cory is just very, very exciting to watch. It's fun to watch Cory play football. Can be very direct. His speed is on a different level, and he loves to take players on. So I think he's very fun to watch. He can assist, he can score. He's still a team player, and I think he's just a great guy off the pitch as well. So in the community and stuff. So it's great to have him here for sure.
So for the Halifax fans watching, I'm sure they'll know the background of you guys and the fact that you played at Cape Breton. But, we do have two guys, one from Germany, one from England, and you end up in Atlantic Canada playing college soccer. Can you tell us how that happened and each of your kind of paths to get there?
Right,
I can go first. So originally I was supposed to go to the States. There's a lot of people in England that are trying to get over to North America. Atlantic Canada wasn't really on my map at the start of the process, but I was coming through an agency called Soccer Smart, and they have a really good connection with Dino. They brought over players like Danny Pritchard, Charlie Waters, all from the same region. So they had a really good connection with Dino, and Dino was the first one to get in touch with me about possibly coming over here. And just what he said resonated with me and my family. I felt like it was the best situation for me overall, not just playing football or soccer, but also academically for me to get my degree too. So that's pretty much how I ended up here. It was a really quick process. I think I spoke to Dino in maybe April or May in 2016, and I was here in August. So it was a quicker turnaround than I would have expected. But that's pretty much how I got here.
Mm-hmm. And just for the viewers who may not be familiar, Dino is the head coach of Cape Breton. He was the assistant coach before. He played for the Capers, and now he's led them to a lot of AOS championships, some national championships, even was coach of the year when I was graduating from Ryerson. So I remember that year was one of the biggest years for the Capers. So Peter, your turn now. How did Dino land you from Germany?
It was quite random, to be honest. I graduated from high school in Germany in 2015, summer 2015, and one of my high school buddies, Joel Eckert, he took off to Cape Breton in this summer. So he had a Canadian agent that knew Dino. That's how they got in touch. And well, he told Dino about me. We stayed in touch, and he told me about Cape Breton and how it is and the football and all that. And we stayed in touch. And then one day he just texted me was, "Hey Pete, we're looking for a defender, and I've told Dino about you, and he's interested because he knew where I played in Germany and the level I played at." So yeah, one day I woke up to a WhatsApp message from Dino, asking me to set up a Skype call and all that. So yeah, I talked to him, and he sold it very well. And at this point, I wasn't really sure what I was doing anyways, because football was kind of stagnating, and I wanted to do university. So yeah, this offer just came along great, and I took it. And then August 2016 was then the first time I arrived in Cape Breton. Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask Peter, what was kind of your mindset, and the same question for Cory, when you came over? Were you still kind of focused first and foremost on becoming a professional footballer, or were you more looking to maybe keep that door open, but to get an education as well?
Well, I think it was always in the back of my mind that I keep the door open if I keep playing, because you never know what's going to happen in football, really. But to be quite honest, I didn't think it was going to go this way when I first came. There was no talks about CPL at that time, or at least I didn't know about it. Mm-hmm. And like, I came over thinking, okay, I'll get my degree, I'll play some football and experience the college life. So that was kind of my idea, and then see what happens after. But then the CPL came along, and once that came out, I think a lot of mindsets turned around again, and we focused more on football again.
Yeah. How about you, Cory? Was the CPL kind of a bit of a surprise?
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as Pete. You know, up until I got to Cape Breton, I'd never played like full-time football, where I'm training every day. So I think my mindset was just to go there and better myself as a player, first and foremost, and also get my degree. I think it was only 2 years in when we found out about the CPL, and then obviously once Pete got drafted, it became more of a reality for a lot of our squad that it's really possible. So yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as Pete with that one.
Yeah.
Producer Kyle is looking at the YouTube chat. So Halifax Wanderers fans, or any fans really, if you have questions for Peter or Cory, get them in there. We'll try and get to them as the show moves on. In the meantime, I'm going to put you two head-to-head for the first time on the show. You two are part of the Canadian Premier League. Right now, it's growing as part of this amazing rise for Canadian soccer. But you also come from two of the biggest sporting and footballing nations in the world yourselves. So I'm going to ask you, between the two, who has the bigger sporting future in football right now? Is it Germany or is it England? And I'll let the veteran go first, Peter.
Is that really a question, Adam?
We're just trying to stir the pot a little bit. That's all.
No, I think it's Germany. For like, I know there's some good talent in England. Obviously, they produce a lot of talent. So does Germany. But I think Germany, obviously, last World Cup was disappointing. But I think there was kind of like a transition time going on. Now a lot of the older players left, and a lot of new players, younger players coming up. So I think the future looks bright, and I'm excited to see what's gonna come. And
Cory, why is Peter wrong?
That's cute, Pete. But no, I think it's England. I think the system's changed a lot over the past 4 or 5 years. We've started to play a new style, and I think players in England have started to realise that football doesn't always start and end in England. One thing that young players haven't had in England a lot is opportunities, and now they're going out to different countries to get those opportunities and mature at a faster rate. You know, you just look at Jadon Sancho as just one example. I think
Germany,
players.
Yeah, they're going to Germany.
Yeah, and he's one of the best players there, so we'll leave that there as well. But yeah, like, they're going out and getting opportunities now, and I think Gareth Southgate is really facilitating that. And you saw in the last World Cup we had that we really do have opportunities for young players. So I think we're really coming along.
Ollie, I'll let you defend Cory another time. Okay, I know it's pent up. I know you're ready.
I'll just add that England are ranked 4th in the world right now, and we all know the FIFA World Rankings are the main measure here. So yeah.
Yes, that's exactly it, isn't it? FIFA is certainly the standard there.
Never mind World Cups.
Who needs a World Cup? Question for Peter from the chat comes from Vincent. He wants to know, how close are you to becoming a Canadian citizen? And would you consider representing Canada if they ever approached you about it?
So I'm right now in the process. I'm still on my student visa right now. So that runs out in August. And the idea is once that runs out, I'll probably try to get my PR.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see how that goes. I've been talking to the club, and they are supporting me with it as well. So it would be great to get neutralized and get a Canadian citizenship at one point. And obviously, having a chance to play for a country I love as well as my second home here, I would never say no. If it comes around, if the opportunity is there, I would definitely take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Peter, were there ever any doubts for you to return to Halifax, or was your plan always finish school? Or I shouldn't say always, but were you always leaning to coming back, or was there possibilities that you might put on different CPL colors?
No, the idea was from the beginning really that I was coming back. I mean, I've talked a lot to Steven and the club before I left, and we had a lot of chats. And the problem was just that they didn't really know what kind of changes the league's gonna put in place for the year after concerning international players. So we had some meetings and stuff where we wanted to make a decision, but we couldn't because there wasn't the rules weren't like outlaid properly, and that's why we had to wait. And at one point it took so long that I obviously had to keep other options open for myself as well because I wasn't sure. But from my understanding, it was always mutually agreed that I should come back. And once they were able to offer me a contract, they did, and I jumped on it.
Mm-hmm. Guys, we've talked a little bit about what your ambitions were when you came over to Canada, and Peter, we just mentioned there potentially becoming a Canadian citizen and things like that. I want to ask you more generally now, what kind of ambitions do you guys have from this point onwards? Because we've started to see some players, obviously Tristan Borges was one, Emilio Estevez yesterday, going on to different leagues and different levels around the world. Do you guys have those ambitions as well to maybe take your career to the next step at some point?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, like just looking short term, I'm looking to get experience and learn from the players that are in this league, just some professional experience. But when the opportunities come around, you have to take them seriously. They might only come around once. So it's really nice to see that players in the Canadian Premier League are getting looked at by European countries too. So I think it's really nice to know. It's reassuring that if you do well, then the opportunities will be there for you. It's not always been that way for some players, especially in North America, but now you're seeing it happen more and more. So I think for me, it's not my goal just now, but further along the line, I think it's probably something I will really consider.
Yeah, I think it's just the nature of the sport is, I think I can talk for a lot of guys. The nature of the sport is just that you're always willing to better yourself and to challenge yourself in some ways. So I think definitely the motivation that drives me is that I think that there's places to go from CPL, if it is maybe MLS or back to Europe or somewhere. You never know when it's going to happen. Maybe it will take 8 years until a club says, hey, we see someone and we want him here, or he can fit a role, he can play a role at our club. But I think it's definitely my motivation to see how far I can take it.
Mm-hmm.
With the way that the USports and AUS calendar is structured, it gives you guys a long off season, and when finishing school earlier in the year, it allows you both to take opportunities elsewhere a little bit. I mean, obviously you'd like to be playing more ball with your college team if possible, but because that's not a possibility, you both went to Victoria to play for the Highlanders in the PDL for a while. So I just want to ask you, now that you have come from afar to Canada, you've experienced both coasts, if you could just take us back through that experience, what you enjoyed about it, and what are some of the differences between the West Coast and the East Coast? And I'll give Peter the first word.
Well, one of the big differences is the weather, definitely. I think the summers over there are a bit nicer than here. But, the summer over there was very special because we had a great group of guys. It was 5 of us. It was Stu Heath, Charlie Waters, Marcus Company, Cory, and I. We all lived together in a house, like close to, or basically almost downtown Victoria. a beautiful city, and yeah, like I said, the weather was amazing the whole summer, so it was a great experience. The season we played wasn't the best. We weren't too successful, but I think it was just good to stay fit, stay in the game, and also be looked at, because PDL is probably just as good as USports to get scouted and stuff. Playing against under 23 MLS teams and stuff like that. So I think for that fact, it was great to go over there. And my heart is at the East Coast. I've been here for so long now, so I'm not gonna sell them short, but it's beautiful over there as well.
How much are you looking forward to that first plane trip to Pacific when we get restarted? That's the tough one.
That's a long flight. Cory, what do you think? Anything to add to what Pete mentioned about the West Coast?
Yeah, I think he said it all. The weather is really nice there. The city was beautiful, and we enjoyed a really good summer. Apart from a couple of results, we learned a lot about some different systems under Thomas Niendorf at the Highlanders. But I think I'm with Pete. Like the East Coast was the one that welcomed me in at the start, and I've been representing those ever since. So I think I feel more at home on the East Coast. The West Coast a little bit more laid back. But like you said, the heart's in the East Coast, so I think that's my preference.
I was going to ask you which coast was better, East or West, but you both answered without me even having to ask. So well done on the mind reading. Another question, we'll give this one to Cory because Peter got one earlier. And this comes from Jacob Local, who wants to know, upon playing your first year in the Maritimes, what were your impressions of AUS soccer and USports in general?
I found it quite difficult to adjust to the schedule. I like in England, I know probably in Germany too, and a lot of the European countries, we never asked to play 2 games a weekend. So that was really tough. But that makes the standard good, but fair. It's hard for anyone to play 2 games a weekend, and no game was really easy for us in our first year. We had a really good team, and we were still gelling. I think we had 11 rookies in mine and Pete's first year, so. I think more looking at USports, when we got to nationals, then we really found the competition. I know we had a tough go at USports in our first year in Guelph, but after that, we saw what the standard was, and I think we acclimatized to it pretty well. But yeah, I think US standard's good, and you can see a lot of players coming from AUS and hopefully being able to play. And represent the East Coast, just like me and Pete are hoping to do.
Yeah, those darn Griffins, eh? They broke Ryerson's heart a few times too. I still have those scars. Sorry, Ollie.
Sorry, just to clarify, you played 2 games in a weekend? I didn't realize that was a thing. Like Saturday and Sunday, or do you at least get a day
Friday,
break?
Saturday, usually in the OUA. Was it the same in the AUS?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
All right, that's news to me.
Wild times for players and journalists, but harder on their bodies for sure. Yeah. Okay, last little segment we want to do with you guys before we let you go. We've already established that you've known each other, you've lived with each other for a while, so we're going to do a bit of a rapid fire between the two of you. So be honest, be fair, and don't worry about the fact that they're right next door. And if they don't like your answer, you're going to hear about it later. So Peter, first question. This one's an easy one to warm up. What is Cory's best quality as a footballer?
His pace and his ability to take players on.
You are doing very well with rapid fire. Well done. Cory, same question for you. What's Peter's best quality?
For sure his distribution. For me as a winger, it's a dream knowing that if I make the run, he's going to put it on a plate for me too. So I think that's an easy one for me.
Peter, I stole this question from myself earlier, so I'll ask Cory now for his take. What is the one thing that Halifax fans don't know about Peter that they should?
He could be mean too. He's a really nice guy, but like behind the scenes, he could be a mean guy too when it really matters. I think that's important on the pitch to have someone like that carrying you back. But with the fans, he's always so nice, and I think that they might see a different side to him sometimes.
Yeah, you need that in a centre back. I like it.
So, Peter, I asked you what they're getting in Cory, but what's something that may not be displayed on the field that they should know about him off the field?
Cory, I think, what's quite funny about him, and not a lot of people know it, that there was a time I wasn't sure if Cory wants to be a football player or a basketball player.
Okay.
So no, Cory has a passion for basketball as well. I remember there was a time at university where we would go up to play 2v2s or something, and he would be in the gym shooting hoops.
Hey, Cape Breton's only got 2 sports, so you would have been fine, right? So there you go. Okay, moving on to the next one. This is where I might get you in trouble, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Peter, what's one thing Cory probably doesn't want people to know about him?
Cory
Is he-
hates water with a passion. Like, he hates drinking it. He hates going for a swim. He just hates water. He's not a water guy.
So no dips in the Atlantic. Okay, we'll cross that one off our list.
Just all water or like cold water?
All water. I hate it.
Okay, fair
You were
enough.
drinking like a 10-gallon jug of water earlier. I find that hard to believe. There it is.
Force it
I
down.
force himself. Usually he comes back after a training session. He's like, Pete, let's go to the store. I need a juice.
Okay, we got someone from the chat piping in as well, so I'll ask it for both of you. Peter first, before the season was put on hold, was there a matchup or a trip on this calendar that you had circled that you were really looking forward to?
I think I was really looking forward to a home opener. Obviously, I mean, that's a no-brainer, but the Ottawa home opener, I think we would have played their home opener. So I think a new club with a well-established football community in town would have been fun to play at for sure. I think there would have been a lot of people, good turnout. So yeah, that was definitely one I was looking forward to.
Yeah, I think the plan was for us to travel to Ottawa for that one as well. So that would have been fun.
Yeah,
good fun. Cory, what about you?
I think for me it was Valor. Hoping that Marks and Shaale would be on the opposite side. It would have been nice to play against them, for once instead of playing with them. So that was the one I was hoping to get to go to. Yeah.
Oh, I got to ask you a rapid fire question too, in the same vein as the last one. What's one thing about Kurt Larson that he probably doesn't want people to know about?
Well, I don't have a better answer than the one he's already revealed himself, which is the large US soccer tattoo on one of his arms. So I'm going to have to lean back on that one.
Yeah, good on you for keeping that alive. Don't let that ever go away. Okay, Cory, what's one thing Peter did at Cape Breton that you will always remember?
We won a game once, and he was dancing on the medical table. Fell right through. And there's a video of it somewhere. I'm not sure. Probably in the deep crevices of the web, but that was one of the most important games we won. I can't remember. I think it was UMB away.
Or was that X, bro?
Oh, it was X. Yeah, it was at X. And that's when I think I saw the true side of Peter. So that might be it. Yeah.
Hey, Peter, your chance to get even.
There was another guy dancing on it with me, but yeah, we broke the thing that day, so probably a bit too much weight on it.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it was quite funny. I think it was the same game. Do I have to say the same thing about Cory?
Yeah, well, you got to get even now.
I think it was the same game even. Was it that game you scored that goal that Dink?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's like wiped up. That goal was crazy. It was a counter attack. I think it was a free kick against us, and one of our players headed the ball. He was in the wall. He headed the ball forward, and he picks up the ball around 2 defenders at the halfway line, and just like takes them on, rushes through them. The keeper coming out, and Cory just dinks him from like 40 yards or something. It was crazy.
I don't know which video I want to see more, the falling through the table or the Cory Bent wonder goal. I want to see them both. Okay, last question for you guys before we let you go. Peter, what is one thing Cory spends too much time doing?
Oh, that's an easy one. He can easily play Xbox for 12 hours straight.
Is he at least any good?
Yeah, I give him that. He's quite good. Yeah.
All right, Cory, same question for you. Last question of the day.
Pete spends way too much time napping. Like you can have like 2 or 3 naps in a day and then still go to sleep at night. I don't really understand it, but I can't nap, and every time I want to go do something, he's always napping. So yeah, it's definitely napping.
Just take that big gallon of water and just dump it right on his head. That'll get him up.
Hey, there's never been a better time to nap and play Xbox, so make the most of it.
You get it in now while you still can. Guys, this has been a blast. We really appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us, letting us get to know you a little bit better, and same for the Wanderers fans and CPL's fans watching as well. Ollie, it's always good to see you, man. Thanks for being the, I don't even have the analogy, but you steer the ship every show, and I'm grateful for it.
Oh, anytime, Adam. Thank you.
For producer Kyle, for Armin as well, running and setting all these things up. We couldn't do it without either of them. We will see you soon. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. OneSoccer Happy Hour on tonight. Special guest Kadisha Buchanan joining Andy Petrillo, Laura Armstrong, and Carmelita Moscato. Tune in for that at 5 p.m. Eastern. One final thanks to Peter and to Cory. And for everyone else at OneSoccer, I'm Adam Jenkins. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.